So good afternoon, Excellency, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon for the ones who are watching this webinar from Cambodia or the Southeast Asia. Good morning if you happen to watch it from Europe. I am Joachim Doter, the Advocacy Coordinator for EuroCham Cambodia. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar on the public-private partnership opportunities in Cambodia, organized by EuroCham Cambodia and the General Department of Public-Private Partnership, GDPPP, of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. Today, we will have an overview on the business opportunities that public, you cannot hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, I can hear your voice pretty clearly.
Pretty clearly?
No problem from my side.
No problem for you from your side? Okay. So just to give you the agenda for today, we will start by some welcome remarks by the EuroCham chairman, Mr. Tassilo Brinzer, some opening remarks by His Excellency Meas Soksensan, Secretary of State from the General Department of Public-Private Partnership of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. It will be followed by the presentation by Ms. Shannon Noon, Deputy Director of the Department of Project Development, General Department of Public-Private Partnership of the MOF. And lastly, we will open the floor for the audience for the question and answer. So perhaps without further ado, I will give the floor to the chairman of EuroCham Cambodia, Mr. Tassilo Brinzer, to deliver his his welcome remarks.
Thank you very much, Joachim, and a warm welcome to this seminar today. This is our first seminar on public-private partnership opportunities in Cambodia, organized by EuroCham Cambodia in collaboration with the General Department of Public-Private Partnerships of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. I'm personally very happy that we can finally start this project and this seminar here today. Following an initiative by Meas Soksensan from the Ministry of Economy and Finance, who had invited the German ambassador and myself in May already to present the project and share an overview of what the opportunities are in the sector. I would like to thank His Excellency for bringing this initiative forward, for reaching out to us and for working with us. Also, Vibol Sak-Pen, the Deputy Director of the Project Development Department, and the whole team at the Ministry of Economy and Finance for the effort to bringing this seminar here and this event together with us. This seminar aligns very well with the vision to open the Cambodian economy and make its infrastructure and related projects accessible to international investors from all over the globe. Cambodia has, in the past 12 months, initiated a range of laudable reforms. Amongst some are an upgraded renewable energy target to 71% by 2030. The National Strategy for Informal Economic Development 2023 to 28, the 1.5 million technical skills training program, and a range of digital government initiatives, amongst other ongoing administrative and governance reforms. Here at EuroCham, we support these initiatives and are a strong partner for the royal government in promoting the kingdom to a regional international audience. And this is what we're doing here today. Thank you all for joining. I wish all of us a good time with this with the presentation. I think you'll learn something very interesting about what is happening at the Ministry of Economy and Finance, what the public-private partnership opportunities are. And please enjoy the next hour. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Tassilo. Please, may I invite His Excellency Meas Soksensan to deliver his opening remarks.
Thank you, Joachim, and thank you, Tassilo, for your kind word. Mr. Tassilo Brinzer, EuroCham Chairman, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. A good morning to everyone who is joining us from Europe, and a good afternoon to those who joining from Asia. On behalf of my Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Economy and Finance, Dr. Onpon Mirat, I'm really delighted to see such a big group here who are interested in discovering more about public-private partnership opportunities in Cambodia, and to make connection that we will hopefully develop into productive and lasting business partnership. I want to begin by thanking the European Chamber of Commerce in Cambodia for co-organizing and making this event happen today. We are thrilled to have more than 400 companies, I hope, joining this webinar today. This webinar is intended to introduce and enhance understanding of the newly developed PPP framework and showcase the PPP project pipeline that we are incredibly proud of. I hope this will serve as a catalyst in initiating a meaningful dialogue between the public and private sectors to discuss collaborative opportunity and ways forward. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodia is emerging as an economic powerhouse in Southeast Asia, becoming now an attractive destination for foreign direct investment. And in order to maintain economic competitiveness and meet challenges stemming from infrastructure gaps, the government of the Kingdom of Cambodia will require further investment, and especially in the transport, health, education, and environmental sectors. As we know, public investment alone will not be sufficient to meet large infrastructure and service delivery needs for Cambodia. This is where I see the importance of private sector's engagement in the development of PPP project. Given this, it was imperative that we ask ourselves what must be done to maximize PPP success. We are aware that to warrant an effective private sector engagement, the government must provide clear rules of engagement and lay the right foundations. This includes putting in place a strong and well-designed legal and regulatory framework that is intended to guarantee PPP project transparency, equity, and mutual benefit. With this in mind, the Royal Government has established a clear and comprehensive PPP framework under the law on PPP and the SOP for PPP projects to ensure a favorable PPP environment for all stakeholders involved, which are here to demonstrate today. I would like to highlight that under the new Prime Minister leadership and the government strategy for growth, employment, equity, efficiency, and sustainability, and the achievement of Cambodia Vision 2050, PPP has become the forefront mechanism for bridging infrastructure and service gap in Cambodia. The timing couldn't be better for European investors to increase their presence in a supportive and safeguard environment. In addition to the PPP framework, the Royal Government recently passed a new law on investment, amongst many others, aimed to establish an open, transparent, predictable, and reliable legal framework for both legal and foreign investors in important sectors and activities. As you can see, we are dedicated to the delivery of successful PPP projects. The Royal Government has created a conducive environment with stable annual economic growth, averaging at 7.7% in the last decade, and continual update of legal frameworks. Investors can leverage this. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that at the end of this webinar, everyone will entrust your confidence in our well-designed PPP framework and make Cambodia your investment destination. European companies bring about European value, which adhere to high standard and are respected around the world for having corporate culture that promote accountability, transparency, and adherence to the law. Cambodia sees this as a valuable dynamic to our investors' portfolio. With this, I would like to thank you all again for joining today and wish you a very insightful discussion. I hope to look back in a few years that this may be the event that catalyzed our project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And you stress a lot on the word of predictability, but also transparency. And this is very important for the European investors. And we're very glad to see at the EuroCham the will of the government to attract the investors from Europe. So thank you also again, Your Excellency. Now, please may I invite Miss Shannoon to share her slides and deliver a presentation on all the opportunities that the PPP offer here in Cambodia.
Could you allow me to share screen?
សំឡេងឡងគ្នាយើង
Hi, sorry, Joachim, can you allow us to share our screen?
We can see your presentation, but now it's disappeared. Okay.
Hi, sorry, we're having a bit of a technical difficulty sharing the screen, so please hold on for a moment.
អញ្ញាឃើញអត់អីទៅ go ahead.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Hi, good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here today to share with everyone on a topic that is increasingly relevant in today's infrastructure development and landscape, and even more so in the context of Cambodia, which is PPP, specifically on the PPP management framework and priority projects in Cambodia. As we go through this presentation, I hope it will give everyone a better insight into the PPP management framework and also help build your confidence in us to support you in the delivery of a successful PPP project. To start with, I would like to begin by discussing the definition and defining what is PPP, specifically in the context of Cambodia. As you can see on the screen, that PPP refers to the agreement between the state and the private partner to restore, repair, expand, build, operate, and maintain public infrastructures and services within a specific period. Under this agreement, the private partner shall invest, bear part of the risk, and receive benefits based on performance in accordance with terms and conditions stipulated in the PPP contract. As you may know, PPP is very essential in leveraging private sector expertise and investment to deliver our public services and infrastructure projects. It is therefore a partnership or an incredibly long marriage, as we discussed yesterday with the IFC. However, unlike in marriage, based on emotion, it is also based on legal and regulatory framework that ensures that needs to be clear, accountable, and provide mutual benefit to both parties, as PPP is about risk sharing and risk allocation, as we mentioned earlier as part of the definition. Now that we have some understanding of what is PPP, I would like to go back in time a little bit to give a timeline, or I would like to call evolution of PPP. As you can see, PPP is not exactly new in Cambodia. As a fun fact, PPP actually started since the 1990s under ad hoc mechanism, focusing specifically on the energy and aviation sector. This is quite fascinating because it demonstrates that our government realized very early on that PPP is important in terms of supporting the infrastructure development in Cambodia. Moving on to in 2007, you can also see that after nearly 1 decade of implementation, we realized that there is an absence in the established rules and regulations to govern the private sector approach, which led to the promulgation of the law on concession in 2007. Be mindful that 1 decade may appear long for time for government to come to this realization. But however, as we are well aware of the history of Cambodia, it is only in the early 2000s that we achieved exponential economic growth and political stability. As we saw a remarkable upsurge in private sector investments under the BOT model, the law concession, and changing financial policies, we once again decided to have a self-reflection. And as a result, the government decided that the implementation of PPP can no longer be an ad hoc mechanism, which led to the development of the policy for PPP for public investment in 2016-2020. And with the priority agenda of the policy being creating an enabling environment to promote and encourage private sector investments in public infrastructure investments. The policy paper set out a number of agendas and measures to be undertaken to develop a comprehensive and well-structured PPP management framework. And that led us to our next major milestone in PPP, and a very historical one, which is the promulgation of the law on PPP in 2021. We are incredibly proud of this law on PPP. I think this is one of the fastest developed law in our history. And I would like to take this moment to recognize a very important figure behind this incredible achievement, which is my boss, who is here with us right now. His Excellency Matired. He did this in I think about 2 years' time, so I think he deserves a round of applause for that. And yes, moving on, this is PPP history in a nutshell, and I hope that this has given everyone some context on how PPP has come about today. So this slide shows that there are two sets of documents that govern the framework on PPP in Cambodia, which being the first is the law. And in addition to the law, we also have the standard operating procedures for PPP, which serves as a supplementary guideline to assist in the development and implementation of all PPP projects. I also like to highlight that this is the holy grails of PPP in Cambodia, and which our team lives by. So all our processes and procedures follow line by line based on the law and SOP. And can also add, again, just to brag a little bit, that both sets of documents have been highly praised and widely received by both development partners and private sectors alike. Moving on. So you can have a look at some details of the law on PPP. So what does it mean to create an enabling and conducive environment for PPP promotions? So the law on PPP does precisely that. As mentioned earlier, PPP was previously governed by the law on concession, which encountered many problems, including institutional arrangements, financial support mechanism, provision for step-in rights, termination, and more. And for those who are aware of the law on concession, there were many ambiguities and the absence of clear approaches for undertaking PPP. And notably, the law on PPP absolves relevant stakeholders of these challenges. And therefore, I would like to highlight some key features of the law. The law was enacted on November 21st of 2021, replacing the law on concession. The law on PPP concludes 14 chapters and 48 articles. It applies to all qualified projects seeking private investment into public infrastructure and services. And more importantly, it defines the institutional arrangements with the MEF as the competent authority in managing PPP mechanism in Cambodia, with the General Department of PPP as its secretariat to the MEF as well. It further established a detailed framework for the management of PPP projects for the complete project cycle from start to end, and it defines a form of government support measures that may be provided by the government, of course, subject to approval and review. And as you can see on the right side, we have a list of government support measures, although not all are operational yet. The first being the viability gap financing, which is to support social projects that requires additional construction cost. But this is currently in the process of being drafted and hopefully to be available soon to all the investors. Secondly, we have the availability payments as well, yet to be available and hopefully in the coming future. We have government contingent liabilities, which are in the form of guarantees. We also have asset contributions, and among that is the access to public land. And finally, we have investment incentives, and that is referring to tax breaks and tax holidays. This is actually based on the law on investment provided by the CDC. And I believe that EuroCham often have a seminar and workshops relating to this. So for those who are interested, you can also follow EuroCham on that matter as well. And then now we have the SOPs for PPP projects, which provide very clear guidance. I will not go into the specific of the SOP itself, just because it would definitely take way too long to do so. I think we'll definitely need more than a day to get through all our volumes. And I believe that everyone can have a read through yourself on your own time, would give you a much more comprehensive detail of our processes. But I do want to highlight that the policy guideline contains policy guidelines and procedures that helps to identify, prepare, procure, implement, and manage PPP projects. In total, there are actually 3 volumes. First volume is the policies and procedures. The second volume are guidelines on the project identification selection. Second being project development facility. The third, government support measures. And finally, contract management. And our final volume, which is the procurement manual, consists of 2 sets of guidelines, which includes the selection of consultants and selection of private partners. In addition to that, we actually have other supporting guidelines as well, which highlights an even more in-depth approach to PPP, which includes feasibility study, guidelines on financial analysis, guidelines on value for money, and guidelines for fiscal management for PPP projects. I do recommend that everyone starts with volume 1, as it gives a much more overview of the project cycle, whereas the remaining volumes will provide a detailed breakdown across each stage itself. Another helpful aspect about these SOPs would be the template of documents in the annexes itself. So one of the major challenges in the preparation and procurement of PPP projects is having standard set of applications and related supporting documents. And in there, in our SOP, you'll find, for example, templates for project concept paper, MCA analysis, and bid document packages, which is quite streamlined and fair for everyone. So this is very helpful in ensuring that projects, private sector and private proponent can undergo a fair and transparent assessment. Next one. So another question that people are often concerned with, particularly with investors, is the aligning of PPP projects with government objectives and policies. Like I've mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, PPP is very long term, and our policy and objectives do align with that. As you know, projects can span up to 50 years, and having some reassurance and security from the government is very important. And so as you can see here how PPP fits into our government objectives and policy. Under the new administration, the government has established what is called the Pentagonal Strategy Phase 1, which is to serve as a socio-economic policy agenda in helping realize Vision 2050 for Cambodia by becoming a upper middle income country by 2030 and high income country by 2050. It is a main strategic framework that will guide the government for the next 25 years, and at the forefront of this strategy is the strengthening of PPPs. And as you can see on the left side of this slide, how do we strengthen PPP as part of our government policy? You can see that capacity building is a very important aspect of it, ensuring that line ministries, all stakeholders involved, understand the management of PPP mechanism. In addition is to establish financial support in terms of GSM for the PPP market, utilizing PPP to reduce budgetary pressures, as you know, that globally at the moment that there is challenges in financial and fiscal space for all governments around the world. Also collecting the data collection from line ministry to strengthen the management of fiscal risk, which is another important aspect of the government's agenda. Finally, is improving inspection and monitoring of PPP mechanism. As you can see that PPP has progressed since 1990s, and from that, PPP has become an increasingly important agenda for the government, in which investor can rest assured that PPP is not a short-term agenda, but a rather long-term one, and its importance and significance will only continue to grow over time, and I hope that everyone will be a part of that. Moving on, the next question is, how do we align our PPP projects with investors' interests? I mean, obviously, everyone wants to ensure that our projects, our PPP projects, are viable and bankable, and we do so through the implementation of a very strong legal procedures for the implementation of PPP projects. The PPP cycle itself, as you can see, consists of 5 phases, starting from the identification and selection of PPP projects to the management of the PPP contract itself. I believe that starting strong is the way to go, and which is why I would like to highlight our processes throughout each phases, and the first being the identification and selection. In order to include our PPP projects into our what we call the PPP priority list, projects undergo rigorous screenings across multiple platforms before coming and entering into our list. So you can rest assured that projects that are in our pipeline or in the priority sector list, project list, are properly screened, and they're not coming out of complete thin air. I mean, they come across from multiple policies, including the PIP, sectoral development plan, and master plans from various line ministries, and approved by the Ministry of Planning as well before passing on to us and for further review by the MEF. So I would like to say that the projects on the list are quite safeguarded for the private investor. In addition, as part of the preparation and appraisal of PPP projects, the government also offers very important support as well, especially for solicited projects, which is the PDF fund. And the PDF fund is actually quite helpful as well, I think, for investor too. In the case of solicited projects, if eligible and approved, projects may be able to receive funds to support the preparation of FS before moving on to further preparation and assessments. And this helps to really, for us to all cross-check if the project is truly viable and worthy to put forward to the market. And only after with the FS, and as part of the FS, we also take a market sounding approach with the private sector. So you can rest assured that before the project comes forward again, everything is being verified and reviewed to ensure that it is a quality project that is being put forward to investors. Moving on, we also to the procurement. So we do guarantee a very fair and transparent procurement process, as you will see in our volume 3 of the SOP for procurement of private partner. In there are lists of procedures and steps that are very critical and very clear and transparent to all to see how this procurement in PPP works. And again, annexes with many templates that are incredibly useful in streamlining the whole procedure for everyone. And you can be sure that no one will submit a different type of formatting or a different applications from another. It's always going to be fair and well judged by us. And finally, if the project and hopefully secure a private proponent, we move on to the signing of the PPP contract itself. And it doesn't actually stop there, because PPP is not doesn't finish at the end of the contract signing. Again, investors can rest assured that we do have a mechanism for managing the contract as well, which is outlined in our contract management guidelines. This is to help monitor and support from the preparation of a draft PPP contract to the final implementation and operation of the PPP project itself. So as you can see that across all 5 phases of our project cycle, we have a lot of mechanisms in place to ensure a very transparent, very accountable, and very fair and quality assurance for all the investors, and also guarantee ensuring that our PPP projects are viable and bankable to the investors, which is, I think, it's a very important aspect. I think for the government, for us, it's about accessing infrastructures and services, but actually for the private sector, it's important that profitability is an aspect to be discussed. Otherwise, you would not engage with us into PPP. So I think this is the more interesting part of the presentation itself. I think that's what everyone really wants to see here today at this webinar. So the first, I would like to show everyone a highlight of some of our PPP projects that are under implementation at the moment. So the first being the Phnom Penh-Sihanoukville Expressway. I think many people in this room or in Cambodia is well aware of this project. It is a 4-lane expressway, the first to be built in Cambodia, and it provides connection between the 2 economic poles of Cambodia, which is Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville. So for businesses, this is a significant milestone as well, because I think logistical cost in Cambodia is one of the highest. So with the expressway itself, I think it contributes greatly to reducing travel time for all logistical businesses that are moving goods between ports and Phnom Penh. In addition, I think it's also great for the public as well, because we no longer have to spend a 4-hour commute on the road just to get to the beach. So that's a quite nice touch to the expressway. So as you can see on the slide, the implementing agency is the Ministry of Public and Transport. It is in the form of a BOT model. The project is unsolicited, and the total project cost is approximately 1.8 billion, and the private partner is the China Road and Bridge Corporation. As you are aware, again, the project is already operational since 2023, so it's been up and running for a good 1.5 years almost. So it's been going well so far for us in terms of the expressway, and we do have many more expressways coming up as well, because I think this expressway has set very good precedents for the future development of road transport and infrastructure. The next highlight we have is a different sector. It's actually, now we're moving on to tourism. So you can see how diversified we are in terms of our project portfolio. This one is called the Kampot International Tourism Port. The port itself was actually developed under ADB in terms of infrastructure. And under the PPP, it is more of a O&M model, which is also different from the first one, which being BOT. This one is the procurement of a private partner to operate the actual port itself. And this port, we hope that this will become an international waterway for transporting tourism to the southern islands and connecting Kampot to the world, and hopefully boosting local tourism for the province. And the project itself, estimated cost was approximately 9.27. So far, we have procured a private partner recently, which is called AZ Builder, and we hope that the operation, pilot operation, begins in Q4 of 2024 here. Moving across again, we have a new sector. We have what is called the aviation security provision for the Phnom Penh Airport. This is also an O&M contract between the government, represented by the State Secretariat of Civil Aviation, It is also an unsolicited project. Project cost was estimated about 5 million. We've also procured a private partner for this project as well. With they're called L-Bands Management in Switzerland. This was procured last year. The objective of the project is to secure private security practices for international for our airports, and this includes staffing and facilities, equipment, and other specific services such as a K9 unit and security academy. So as you can see that across all the three projects, we are very dynamic in terms of the types of projects that are undertaken within the PPP. It ranges from infrastructure transport to aviation to tourism. So we are definitely open to further engagements across other sectors as well. And as you can also refer back to our previous slides, that the PPP eligible sectors are quite broad and open, and we did this intentionally to expand and hope that PPP can support the government infrastructure development plan in a very broad term and is accessible to everyone in the country. So another interesting aspect that I think everyone would like to see is our priority PPP project for 2024. So far, we have 16 projects in our pipeline. Since the launching of the PPP law, we have managed to build, I would say, a robust pipeline of projects, being that 6 of them are solicited proposals and the 10 of them are unsolicited. So this is a breakdown, just a simple breakdown of our list of solicited projects. The first being Tampa International Tourism Port. I think this is off the table as we already procured a private proponent for this. The next one that is available is the Sihanoukville Logistic Complex, electric buses in Siem Reap City, Breakable Irrigation System, Sihanoukville Smart Parking, and green special economic zones. So out of these 6 listed here, 5 are available. We are super keen and looking for private partners, especially in the Sihanoukville Logistic Complex, if anyone is interested. It's a very cool project and it would be the first. So if you would like to approach, that would be great. Also, Sihanoukville Smart Parking is also in the works, if you will be interested in that. For those who's more into agriculture, I think you can look at Breakable Irrigation System. And anyone who's more into the climate change financing and supporting eco-friendly approach to infrastructure development can consider electric buses in Siem Reap City. Yeah. Moving on, we have our unsolicited projects, which includes the Phnom Penh-Sihanoukville Expressway, once again off the table because it's been done. Secondly, the security services as well. We do. There's also the Phnom Penh-Sihanoukville Expressway, Phnom Penh Logistic Complex, firefighting facilities, vocational fire safety and training school, another expressway, hydropower dam, development of an airport, and the Funan Daejeon Canal. So as these are unsolicited proposals, they are not available. This is just a list to demonstrate to our investors our broad portfolio of PPP projects. Please be mindful that this is a growing list. It doesn't end there. We continue to expand our list and conduct project identification exercises with relevant ministries to identify and increase our portfolio for to allow the private investors a larger access to projects that is more of their interest and also while in lining with the government development plan. I would like to add on by mentioning that it is a growing list, and one of the approach that we have taken to increase and expand our portfolio of projects is through the priority sector for PPP 2025-2035. So we've recently engaged with the development partners and line ministries to discuss further and to identify priority sectors for PPP. And hopefully we will have this list of identified sectors available to the public soon, following the approval of the government. And with that, we should be able to also, again, expand our eligible sectors, in addition to the ones outlined in the law. Coming to an end of the presentation, I would also like to give a bit of an overview or a summary of the General Department of PPP. So mentioned earlier, GDPPP is the secretariat to the MEF in to support on the implementation of PPP projects. So we have a one-stop service that helps to catalyze private capital investment in Cambodia. And so far, you can see we have supported in a number of successful projects. Our role is rather broad. We're there every step of the way from start to end, again, from the very first day you engage with us. We have a very dynamic, very engaging and knowledgeable team who are more than qualified to support your journey in PPP. And I think many development partners mentioned the importance of having a competent PPP unit with highly qualified individuals cannot be overemphasized, because successful PPP program is, if it is to be delivered, you need to have a capable team behind you every step of the way. And just a quick, if you would like to find out more about us, you can follow us on our Facebook website, the GDPP. In there, our media team continually updates on the progress of PPP, new projects, any meetings. So if you're super keen on doing that, please follow our page. We would love to have as many followers as possible. We also have our PPP website as well, which is quite handy. There's a mass amount of information that everyone can follow as well. There are our SOPs, our laws, any other related frameworks will be included in their project pipelines. I think that's what everyone wants to know. We have a list of our project pipeline listed on the website as well for those who want to find out more. In addition, we have a very interesting aspect of the website, which is called the Investors Corner. I think that is incredibly valuable for investors because they can actually see what is the investment climate in Cambodia, what does it take to invest, and how do you invest in PPP in Cambodia. So as you go through that section, I think it's quite helpful as a starting point as your journey starts, and progressively you can find out more through us as we guide our partners into understanding and completing the PPP project. And we also have a really cool new app as well that was recently developed by our team. It is called the Lexicon of PPP. As you know, PPP is interesting. I think it has a whole set of its own vocabularies that we had to learn for the team as well. So having an app like this is incredibly helpful. It is available on Google Play, App Store, and App Gallery. So definitely have a scan and see how that works and have a download of it. I think it's extremely helpful as you go through the PPP guidelines and law in assisting your understanding on it. And I think for Cambodian speakers, there's also the Khmer wordings on there that is also incredibly useful as well, because I think translating PPP terminologies from English to Cambodian can be a challenging task. So this is very, very useful for everyone. And thank you for your attention and time and listening to this presentation. On the right-hand side, as you see, there is a QR code. And if you do scan this, it will take you directly to our GDPP website, directly to our law, PPP, and SOP page. But obviously, it's a website, so you can guide and navigate your way through other pages along the way on our website. And due to confidentiality, obviously we can't discuss a lot of the projects in details yet. So, but if you are interested in approaching us and learning more, feel free to contact me with my email at the bottom left side of the page for more information on PPP projects. And we would be more than happy to guide and give comprehensive details and information for all investors who are interested in PPP. Thank you.
Thank you, Shan, for the comprehensive presentations. It's now 45. I believe we have time for a short question and answer. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to ask questions? It's either you can ask the question via the chat, or you can raise your hand, turn on your camera, and directly ask the questions. I saw that Mr. Putea VP asked a question on the current PPP existing. I believe Ms. Shan has covered this point on all the ongoing error presentations. And I believe we will be able also to reshare the content that was shared by today. So is there anyone, first Mr. Puteavi, did Ms. Shan reply to our questions? And secondly, does anyone have any question into the chats? Ponlote, could you give us a tip on how to apply for the QIP for our PPP project?
In terms of QIP, I would like to direct that to the CDC. They are the one responsible for that. They will be able to guide your application from start to end. I think there's also the CDC website as well. So there's more information, and I think it's also helpful if you look at the law investment. That will give a much more comprehensive detail on the QIP approach. Thank you.
Mr. Declan O'Leary, the current SOPs are mainly for BOT type projects. Will or are additional SOPs for O&M type projects being developed? Just for people who are not experts, for me, like what does BOT and O&M stands for? If you could reply to the question.
Actually, I didn't mention this in the presentation, but as stated in our law, if you refer to our annex, we do have a number of different types of PPP structures. BOT and O&M is one of the many the type of PPPs that is available. So BOT is the build, operate, and transfer. So that means the private sector would build and operate the assets, and within a specified period of time, they will transfer the asset back to the government in accordance with the PPP contract. O&M refers to the operation and maintenance. Typically, this is applied to services agreements. So where assets are already available, for example, like the Kampala International Tourism port, where the assets were built and the support of EDB. And now we needed an operator for the project, which is the O&M aspect of it. So there's that. There's actually much more list of approaches that everyone can take with PPP. So I think feel free to have a look at our law, and you'll see that there are various forms to be undertaken. So it's not limited to these two types of structuring.
Thank you. So yes, there will be additional type of projects. From Creed Kusumawali, thank you very much for the presentation. This is great and informative. Will the presentation to be shared after the meeting? So Mr. Pizet already replied, yes, it will be shared via EuroCham. So we'll send you a follow-up email with the presentation. From Emerald, any specific project or sector that MEF or the RGC is looking to solicit?
We do have some specific sectors that we are considering. As I mentioned in the slides on the priority sector list, that will be available soon. Obviously, we can't disclose that yet until the government officially approves it. So if you can wait for that, and that will be coming soon, then you'll have access to more of the targeted sectors in the next 10 years.
Thank you. And to echo to that point, what I can say is also like I'm sure with the GDPPP we can work together once you have a new project to use it through our newsletter to spread the word on the new PPP projects that are available. From the Solchat, based on certain master plan approved by the government, we have seen a number of development projects falling under PPP project nature identified to exist or supposedly become operational in certain years. How could we actually know which projects are still available and are not?
Yes, so all our projects comes from across different policies and strategies and master plans. Obviously, those are still under the works. So if you have any specific sectors or interests, please do contact us either via our PPP website or the email that I've listed at the end of our slide for more information on that.
From UNSINAT, for unsolicited project, should investor contact the ministry in charge first or talk with the PPPP unit right away?
For this one, actually, one of the main leading institutions that I didn't mention was what we call the implementing agency. Those are the line ministries, and there are the project heads. So if you are interested in a particular PPP project, please do contact the relevant line ministries. If you do have a challenge and struggle with reaching these relevant line ministries, obviously you can also reach out to us and we'll help you connect with the relevant line ministries.
Thank you. Is there any additional questions? I think that there is no additional question from what I see. So I hope, so thank you for replying to all of these questions. From Vicheka, is there complete, wait, sorry, I lost the message. Is there any completed PPP project related to agro processing?
So far, not yet, but we would love to get into that. We are actually, at the moment, part of our team is out there looking for agro and reviewing the agro business in Cambodia. So if you have any proposals, please do let us know.
Thank you. So I'm just check if I haven't missed everyone. One new message. No, I see that in the meantime, please take the time to reply to everyone's questions. Okay. I believe there is no more question popping into the chat yet. So I think it's almost the time to wrap up this webinar. So thank you, Your Excellency, and the whole GDPPP team and Shan for the presentation on organizing this webinar. Just to sum up a bit on the opportunities that there is regarding PPP in Cambodia, is Cambodia benefits from a very robust, solid framework in terms of PPP with the one-stop service that you provide. There is a diversity in purposes. So I've noted we have some road infrastructure, some irrigation plant, and also the electric buses in Siem Reap. So very diversity of projects, and I should say also very easy access to information through your website, through your various channels, and you are very easy to access. Before that we completely close down this webinar, I just have one request to everyone, just for 30 seconds. If you could turn on your camera and give a smile, I just would like to give for the PR operations and just to take a picture of the meeting. And just one comment, I'm from the Ministry of Public Works and Transport. This is a great seminar. I will send the message to my top management to get new opportunity for investors. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. So please, I will just turn on the gallery view. If anyone could turn on the camera, give your best of a smile, and for me to take a snapshot. I see a lot of beautiful face, so it's perfect. So please allow me. 1, 2, 3. I see Varabot doing the salute. So I hope it's a good picture. So I one more for the road. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. This, I believe, was a very informative session. So I hope that you got some information and that you were seeking before joining this webinar. And I think more important is I hope that we create some interest into the PPP. And I think this is the most important. So thank you everyone. I'm wishing you a great day ahead. Thank you for your participation, and keep in touch with EuroCham, keep in touch with the GDPP, And all of this will be good for the economic development of Cambodia. Thank you.